Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very honored to be part of this very important symposium and to share my personal story with all of you. I grew up in Berlin, Germany, and I had a normal childhood. My parents were not neo-Nazis. I was not very close to them when I was a teenager, so they were not aware of the path I took when I was younger, until I changed my path as an adult. When I was very young, I became a karate champion. I was in a karate group with guys who were 10 years older than me. They were tough, competitive, and very cool. I felt lucky to be in their group, to identify with them. We would train together, hang out together, and I felt a sense of belonging. I felt protected within this group, and one day someone brought music he liked. And at first, I didn't even pay attention to the lyrics, and that it was about hate. I was just happy to be part of this group. We kept on listening to the music, met from time to time, and watched films that celebrated the war heroes, SS soldiers whose strength and ability to take people down were inspiring to us as karate champions. These were our heroes. Anyone who was a victim was weak. We considered the more Western mentality of openness, kindness, and compassion to be inferior. We valued strength and aggression. Soon after, my friends and I started a German brotherhood, a neo-Nazi brotherhood, where we would gather weekly to party, wearing our uniforms, black leather vests. We would get pumped with neo-Nazi music. We invited neo-Nazi leaders, and we connected with other groups. Things can escalate quickly, and without the initial intention, I didn't join the group because I felt hate. I had found these friends, and I felt a sense of belonging. This is what motivated me at first. So I listened to their music and did the things they did. What I wasn't able to differentiate was between friendship and ideology. And although I joined the group to belong, I grew to lead the group. The hate seeped in, and it was hard to separate it or call it out. The goal of the group wasn't to simply beat up people and go to jail. That wouldn't be effective. We had bigger plans. We wanted to take on leadership positions to further the ideology. Later on, I served in the German army, and then I attended university. I earned a degree in business administration. I was a leader of the group, I was educated, and I was a professional. In university, however, I began having questions about my ideology. I made friends that I was not supposed to have in my life. And I started to question, were we supposed to wipe out all nations that weren't German? What then? Only Germans would exist? I had questions, and things weren't making sense anymore. I didn't share these questions, obviously, with others. I kept them to myself. How did I stop my own hate? It was by receiving help from the most unlikely source, the object of my hate, from a Jewish group. I started learning and attending lectures. I was searching for answers. I attended a lecture at Berlin's Kabbalah Centre, and the things I was hearing made sense to me. They spoke about universal concepts relevant to everyone, about ego and soul, responsibility for one's actions, inclusion, compassion, and fighting darkness with light. It made sense, but it was confusing at the same time, because I had been so deeply indoctrinated with hate. Until this point, hatred was a value for me. But I decided to sign up for more classes. The strongest message I took from this experience was that these people, these Jews, weren't rejecting me because of who I was. Instead, They accepted me, they welcomed me, and they taught me. They were setting the example for treating that godliness inside of me that is capable of unconditional love. They taught me to accept everyone, embracing everyone in all their diversity. I learned that we don't fight hate with hate. Similarly, we fight hate by adding light. What does it mean in practical terms? Diversity is a gift which allows us to truly share. And because we are different, and because it's difficult to share with someone, it can be called true sharing, transformational sharing. In order to overcome my hatred, I had to learn to share with people that I didn't want to share with. And that process showed me all my limitations. People who act with hatred and aggression believe their own view as the only option, and they see the problem outside of themselves. If we regard these people as less informed and in need of perspective, if we regard them with compassion and recognize their need to learn, we can help them to be more aware of their inner challenges and can actually elevate their consciousness. If you think that to eradicate hatred of anyone, education is needed, you're correct. But regular education, ethics, history, philosophy, or morality, all of these are not enough to change people. The key is a certain kind of education, an education of consciousness. At the Wannsee Conference in 1942, where the decision was made about the final solution, the participants were doctors and professors in Germany, well-educated people in a well-developed and educated country. I too was educated, and amidst this education, hate was the guiding factor. What was missing and is still missing for so many people around the world is an education of responsibility, an awareness of the reactive and proactive choices we have in each situation. I needed to pay attention to the dark parts of me, the hatred, the anger, the insecurity. I needed to acknowledge them and not hide them. I had to search and reveal the light in challenging situations. That's the only way to make the change. And I was able to because I found the teachers and the teachings of the Kabbalah Centre who taught me how to recognize my ego and who embraced me with love to go through this challenging process. This is what helped me to learn from challenges, to grow from them, instead of blaming and reacting. It's not a secret to be kept. I'm happy and eager to share with others how I've done it, how to obtain this kind of education, which we all require, and which destroys hate. We must acknowledge the current danger of anti-Semitism, the danger of the ego if it's uncontrolled. When our safety is at risk, we must protect ourselves. Security is important. However, security doesn't treat the root of hatred. We need more than security. We need to treat the root and the seed of hatred through workshops, meditations, lectures, whatever awakens the heart. We have to acknowledge the hate, the evil, and the dark in the world. If we hide from it, it only gets stronger. Instead of people thinking with hate, people begin to act upon their hate, as we have seen happen so much lately everywhere. We must acknowledge its existence, and then we also need to acknowledge that there's another way. If we work together, not one country, not separately, but collaborate to spread this opposite of hate to as many people as possible, we can succeed. We will succeed. For me, it was the opposite of hate which drew the hate out of me. This is how it works. We need to make this a priority, and I think it hasn't been enough priority in the past. In my studies, I have learned how important it is to ask questions, to ask why situations are happening in my life, why things are bothering me, why things are painful for me. I ask why about everything. It helped me to be conscious, to be aware. Hatred, I learned, comes from a lack of consciousness. Learning that changed my life. I learned about consciousness, I learned about Judaism, and I decided to become a Jew. And I'm living as a Jew for more than 2 years. But I'm also German. I come from Germany, and that's part of who I am. With these two very different parts of me, one being a German who grew up with a neo-Nazi group, I had to learn to forgive the group of which I was a member and to forgive myself. I'm here to represent inner peace. That's what I was seeking for myself, and it's what I try to share with others, because that is what I believe is needed in order to stop anti-Semitism and hatred of any kind. The question is, how can we apply these lessons in our daily life, beyond attending symposia and visiting museums, but through real-life applications? Once we teach people how to take responsibility for their actions, how to be aware of their challenges in their life, and how to grow from them, we are healing the root of the problem and are making a lasting change. As leaders, you can use your skills, your strength, your opportunities to affect other people in this way, through education and consciousness, from dark to light, from hate to love, accepting the other and the different, taking responsibility and stopping the blame game. Through all of us, through media, through governmental institutions, through schools, through every channel we have, we must promote an education of the heart. Once our hearts are open, there's no room for hate. We need to promote messages where people of influence are respected because of their ability to forgive, to accept, to include, to love. These are the people who need to be made role models in every society. With all the wars around the world, the destruction, the loss of life, it hasn't achieved peace. It's worth using a different method. Fighting hate with love, with light, with consciousness. I've shared my journey with you today, and my hope is that this information doesn't end with you. If you have been touched, if you agree, if you identify with what I have shared, then you can bring this message to others, and we can continue fighting hate. I think the main takeaways are these. Sparks of consciousness made me start questioning and seek answers. I ask why. Through the love and guidance of a group of others, I received an education in consciousness and was able to open up, accept, and love instead of hate. It's about each person's personal development. It's about asking ourselves to acknowledge the dark places and accept them and deal with them, rather than covering them up. Accepting the other within each of us, then accepting the other outside. Thank you very much.